Which is why he's not being used left and right, because people wouldn't be like, I don't want to annihilate grandma.
Exactly. Exactly.
What a sentence. Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam, and this is the Knit Ritz podcast. This week we are talking about a new project that we're doing together. So
Yeah.
I don't know, buckle up and let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain, because it was your idea? So what are we doing with each other?
Okay, so I don't know why. I think we were talking about like fan fiction or something, and I just like the format. I'm like calling it the fan fiction thing in my head, because not because it is actual fan fiction, it's a real story, or it's like a original characters. But I liked the idea of like back in the fan fiction days, when you would like follow a creator and you would like wait in real time for their chapters, like kind of like a TV show, except it's just like one dude or one girl just writing away at her house doing whatever, but then once a week she publishes like a chapter, and probably like, depending on how popular they are, like thousands of people read it, and it's kind of interesting. And not necessarily the amount of people, but just like to write a story in real time, and instead of what we do, which is always like, well, I'm gonna, just writing whatever, or I'm always pantsing and I'm like, I don't know what this will be, but instead to be like, no, this is gonna be a final draft, something that if I was a fan fiction writer, I would just go, and this is now according, put with my screen name or with my actual name. And there's something interesting about that I just thought it would be fun to try. So yeah, basically we're just gonna send each other a complete chapter of a story in order every week, for who knows how long, but for a while.
I
I mean, ideally until I finish. And I kind of love it.
I didn't even think about the aspect of not editing. I was like, there's my chapter. If it's not great, I can edit later. And then you're like, no, this is what it is. I mean, granted.
Well, it is kind of like that, but I just pretend like I'm writing to like
Yeah.
an audience,
Yeah,
I
for
did my
sure.
stupid little subscribe.
What I think
That
is
was a joke.
interesting too is, yeah, I saw that, your little subscribe thumbnail at the end. What I do find interesting is that I feel like it is exercising different muscles for us, because you don't write chronological and I do. And so the idea of being like, I'm going to start a story and then just go in order and tell that story, that was something that is for the most part how I write.
But
But
what I do that you don't is that I pants, and I'll just
yes,
make some shit up, and you do not
yeah.
usually do that.
But I will say that I have been, since I submitted it to you, I have been plotting in my brain for what to do, because I was like, how I gotta build a world, I gotta think of backstories, I gotta think of this and a timeline, and so like I have been plotting, but just in my noggin. So I'm not so far. I haven't like done any outlines or anything. I don't know really where it's gonna go. And I was throwing out ideas to my husband, to Topher, the other night, and he did have a really interesting take that I didn't originally think about, and I was really reluctant to hear his feedback at first, which is crazy.
Okay, can we hear like so are you gonna get into it right now?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say you just say what your story is about before we start
Yeah, yeah.
discussing it, because I've read it obviously, but we're not gonna
Mhm.
post these. And
So
to be for the record, we're also we can't edit it. We're just gonna pretend like we're not editing
yeah.
it so that we get the more thing. I will also say the more thing, so we get more finished versions.
Yeah.
I'll also say that also is different for me, because I never write descriptions, but I have the urge. I'm like
Hmm.
I have to describe what this place looks like, and
Yeah.
I don't usually do that.
Yeah.
And so but I did get some interesting, like, I kind of like some of the images. I still feel like that you can't really see my world yet. So in
Hmm.
like an actual second edit, I will edit those. But that was another interesting thing I found. But yeah, okay. So go ahead and explain like what your chapter was about, and then we can know what
Yeah.
the
So I had this thought a few weeks ago where I was kind of, I just live in I have little conversations in my head because I got ADHD and things. So
Mhm.
I was like, And I know that they exist, so I don't want to like sort of broad stroke blanket statement all fantasy romance, but for a sort of large amount of romantasy stories are about very young female main characters, you know, 16 to 20 is kind of the range that the characters start out at. And you know, if I when I was 18 or 19, if some super smoking hot dude told me that he's going to kidnap me and take me into a different world, like yeah, fucking all aboard, right?
Like,
Like
sure.
yeah, like and you know, and that's kind of like my critique is that like, well, of course they're just gonna go. Like, of course, like, you know, whatever.
You
And
got
like, of
much to
course,
lose.
yeah, exactly. Especially when they're like destitute, right? It's like favorites, like, well, what is her option? Like, it's still a better option, right?
Even though she
Um,
doesn't wanna go, but, like,
well, she's
she
worried
kinda
about her
does.
family. Like, there's reasons to stay, I suppose, but there's not personal reasons to stay other than
Yeah.
like the welfare of her family, right? And they all suck. So it's not like she has these close bonds, right? It's like they whatever. And a lot of
Mhm.
that is like that, right? It's like, oh, they started out in a bad situation and they're super young. And so the idea of an 18-year-old leaving the nest is not crazy. And
Makes sense.
so I was like, I wonder what a story would be like if someone who was, you know, in their 30s and married
Had a
with
lot to lose.
kids, had a
Yeah.
yeah, had a whole lot to lose, right? Has a career or something, and gets sucked into this magical realm, and like what would keep her there, what would not keep her there, what would that push and pull be of like I have to go back, right? Because like it's one thing to, and I don't mean to sound like, you know, I know that familial bonds are a thing, but like it's one thing to leave a house of parents and even siblings. It's another to
Yeah.
leave a house, like to be taken away from
Your
children.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Um
Way different.
yeah, and, you know, and then it was and so that was kind of where the idea started. So the story that I'm writing is of a woman who is, in her mid to late 30s, and she is happily married and has 2 kids, and she is going to find herself in a different realm.
Yeah. Okay, I actually sorry, as you're talking, I was thinking of one question. I think the reason a lot of people don't touch this territory is because I think once you if you're a mom and you get taken away from your kids, I think the entire story is about getting back to your kids,
Mhm.
and the men become irrelevant.
Yep.
But what could help that is age. So, I think if you had, like, teenagers or I mean, that's still important moments, but it's
Mhm.
still, like, maybe it's a little bit more palatable,
Yeah.
because it kinda puts you in a different frame of mind to be like, "But what about her kids? Her kids, her kids," you know?
Yeah.
And so,
So
like, unless you do you intend for that to be a central, like, one of the biggest or the
yeah.
biggest driving force?
Yes. So
Okay,
one of the biggest driving forces is that she wants to return to her children. Her kids are 6 and 10, so they're young.
okay,
But here's the thing. Her husband is a competent parent. So she's
okay.
not so worried about
Safety.
leaving. Yeah, she's not so worried about safety, right? There's a nest, right? In the first chapter she drops them off for a sleepover at her sister-in-law's house, right? They have a
Mhm.
support system. So there's a little bit of a safety net in that like her children aren't starving and being put into an orphanage or, you know, sent to an island while she's gone, right?
Yeah,
They're safe, but it's so then it becomes more of the like okay, but it doesn't matter if they're safe. Those are my babies, and that's where I need to be.
yeah,
And she very much loves her husband, so she definitely wants to get back to him and has a sense of gratitude, right? At some point that he and a sense of safety in that like he will take care of them. So even if it takes me a minute to get back, they'll be okay, but
yeah.
like I still need to get home. So then the
Okay.
question becomes, well, why the fuck would you stay in this fairy realm if you have a whole ass life waiting for you in the human realm, right? Because I don't want it to be like, wow, she's kind of a fucking bitch. She was just like, oh sweet, there's magic, fun. And so
Right.
there is a real there's a romantic reason for her to be pulled into this realm. And I think I have come up with a much bigger role for what she would play in that realm as a necessity for her to possibly stay.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, are you going to speak to, so is this Topher's idea or is this your idea and he
So,
built on
yeah.
this?
So this was my idea. I haven't
Okay.
told him about her reasons to stay, and that was kind of
Okay.
our conversation the other night. I was like, other than, I mean, you already know this, so I'm not worried about spoilers, right?
Mhm.
The person that she is sort of the Fey male that she is abducted by is her mate.
Okay.
And she has already had 20 years with this mate. They've already established the mate bond. They were together. They were
Mhm.
all the things, right? They were full on
Yeah.
Fairy Sand levels of fucking ride or die to each other.
Okay,
And
that is interesting.
for
It's
some reason, which I have now an idea, but I didn't last night. For
okay.
some reason, she is exiled and stripped of her memories and made to think that she is human. She's, they've fucked with her brain to give her a mortal backstory, and basically just plopped her in the middle of the earth, the human world. And she kind of worked it out, right? She's like, oh, I, whatever, because she has a few memories of how to exist in that space. And so she's been there for somewhere between 20 and 30 years. She, she's like,
She is immortal.
she is immortal.
Okay.
So she looked, when she was plopped into the human realm, she was plopped there with the idea that she's like 20. And so
Yeah.
she she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to college. So she goes to college, she meets her husband. Her and her husband have been in each other's lives for 17 years. Okay, they've been together for 15 of them. They have two kids. They're very happy. So like she has a mate in the Fey realm, but she has the love of her life in the mortal realm.
Yeah.
And so as her memories get returned, who does she, right? It's like where does she choose to be? Who does she stay with? How does she work this out with this push and pull of these two characters who are very much in love with her, and she's very much in love with both of them. Um, but they are realms apart from each other.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily, like, at some point I'm sure that they're going to meet. They're not necessarily going to be big fucking fans of each other because, that's my mate, that's my wife situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so yeah,
So I
I
had
do
told,
love the concept. I think it's really interesting. And I think also if you were an indie publisher, you'd have so many good selling points.
yeah,
Like, you
that's
know.
fine. Thank you.
But
Um,
yeah.
so I told Topher, I was like, the second chapter is her like waking up at like his manor house or something, and like, I have this notion that they can't just tell her who she is and give her all her shit back. Like, there's got to be some reason that they have to sort of like, you know, um, walk her steady into the regaining of her memories, as opposed to just being like, "You're my," he's not going to pull a Lucian and just like the second she wakes up scream, "You're my mate," at her. Um, and there's a sense of fear and she's she just got fucking kidnapped by this dude. You're like, you're fucking nuts, dude. um and so like a lot of trust has to be built and yada yadas. But so I told Topher, I was like, she's gonna like wake up at his estate or something, and like I don't know like kind of where like political or class wise kind of where they're at, but if it can't just be this push and pull between a romantic partner. I want a larger world. I want a bigger, big baddie. I want some doomsday level, fighting back. Um, and so the easiest, maybe not the easiest, but like one of the ways to go about that is by giving people political power, right? So it's like, maybe she is, in, the heir to a throne, or he is, or some bullshit, right? And so Topher made a point, and at first it sounded fucking crazy, but he goes, why? He goes, instead of making it like a high lord or a prince or a king or queens or whatever, he's like, just make it some dude. Like, this is just some
Okay.
guy who lost his mate and he's trying
But
to
who
find her.
okay, so but they are still mates. It's just a
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
he's
like
like,
that.
and he was like, cuz here's the thing. He was like one of the things that bothers him about about
Him,
a lot.
Topher?
Yeah,
Oh,
about fantasy, and specifically because we're reading through Sarah J. Maas's stuff. That's his entry into romantasy. So he, that's kind of
okay.
his
Many, many
his
a one.
point of contact is he's like, the thing that irritates him about the stories is that Resand has like unlimited resources as far as money goes. And
Yeah.
he's like, so
We're
what's the
just doing
motivation?
billionaire romance.
Yeah, he's like, so what's the point? He's like, if this guy is a king or is a leader or is rich and has a manor, what's stopping him from just like paying someone else to go find her? He's like, that's lame. Like, it's like
Yeah.
he's not struggle bussing himself, right? It's just like, I miss my mate, so I'm gonna go in and, send people out, right? He's gonna send the wolf over the wall kind of a thing, as opposed to sacrificing for himself.
Yeah. You
So
know
I
how
was
Zodiac gets around that, by the way? Because they've got a bunch of rich characters? It's unfair.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they have like a whole ethos around
yeah,
you go, you do this
yep,
yourself.
yeah,
And I think that is a really good tool to get interesting situations. And it's ingrained enough to where it doesn't feel like, okay, the writer
yeah.
wanted to do this. It's like, no, that's part of their.
Well, and it's embedded so much into the world building and the culture that you just accept it as the
Yeah.
realities. Because
The
you're like,
first
why?
time I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh no, this is a thing. This
Yeah,
really is.
especially because like when they're like when in battle scenes and stuff, you're just like, what's stopping these people from just ganging up on each other? And they're like, no, because
Yes.
it's unfair. It's unfair. Like, and
It's
it's like
always pissed me off in movies where I'm like, "No one he
no
was
one
just
ones at a
fighting with
time.
some random guy in the crowd. Why the fuck would they be fighting one on
Mm-hmm.
one?" And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, it's interesting to look at like Bushido warriors too, because they do this like honor thing. And I feel like that's the only way to get cool fight scenes like that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
'cause otherwise it's
Absolutely.
all I can ever think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, go
And so I pushed back at first because I was like, no, she needs to like because I didn't see my creative block was that I couldn't see a reason for her to have been cursed or whatever we're calling it, right? Because if you don't have an if you're just someone, why would
on.
someone do this to you, right? If you're just a fucking, I don't know, like farmer's daughter, why would someone exile you to and separate you and blow? Like there has to be a motivation behind her circumstances. And so I was like, and then he was like, well, what if she's in a position of power where he
Yeah.
doesn't? She was in a position of power, and instead of like marrying who she's like betrothed to for a political gain, she chooses her mate, who is a lesser, who's a lower position. And
Yeah.
so when she is taken, he's still in that, like, he doesn't have those resources that he has to like figure out how to go and save her with meager means. Um, and I was like, well, that could work out well because then it could be like, well, maybe he became like a mercenary, right? Or
Yeah.
like an assassin where like he chooses a route that will make him money and give him a skill set, right? It's like,
Yeah.
maybe he's a scholar or some shit, right? Or he's doing something that's like, middle class, right? and
Yeah.
and then his mate goes missing. He doesn't have the resources to just be funneling in copious amounts of money into this, and he doesn't necessarily know how to fight other than just whatever the Fae kind of whatever their worlds and his position required, right?
He have powers?
Yeah,
Is he
I
like
haven't
ultra
figured.
powerful or is he average powerful?
I think he will be average powerful. I don't
I
want
think
him
I
to
mean,
be
if you're
god
gonna
tier.
do
I don't want him to be god tier, especially when she is taken. I think that it's more of like he's middle of the road, right? He's a normal, average, maybe like upper middle class, on like a slightly higher level. Like he doesn't have bottom rung power levels, but he's not a
Mhm.
celestial heir, right?
So that's similar to Simon too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're
It's
kind of like on an even footing in that sense, which I think makes a lot
exactly,
of sense.
exactly. And like so, Simon. My idea for Simon is that he like works as like oh, what I gave him that he was like he's a project manager for an architecture company, right? Like he he's office guy. He's creative, he's
Mhm.
resourceful, he makes a decent living, right? Enough of a living that my main character can open up a bookshop that could fucking fail, right?
Yeah.
And is probably not making a shit ton of money because it's a cafe bookshop, right? She makes a meager living.
I
Um,
do think you could keep that as your opening, by the way. You said, like, canceling it, but I think, like, it could if the story's gonna go dark gothic, starting with a cutesy little bookstore, like, "Oh,
yes,
this is what you thought your life would be,"
yes,
is even funnier or,
yes.
like, more
That she should,
endearing.
yeah, she owns this cute little bookstore that's like kind of like a, what did I say? It was like academic whimsy, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
has, kind of like a dark academia vibe. It's a coffee shop, right? And I put it in Olympia, which is sort of close-ish to where I am, right? It's at least in the Pacific Northwest. Um but it's not in Seattle, right? It's not in Portland, right? I wanted it in a smaller city
Mhm.
within, an Oregon, Washington space. Um, but still has a position to where, like, her husband would be able to find work in architecture for sure, right?
Yeah.
um but yeah, so and they have, it's like they live upper middle class.
Mhm.
And yeah, she
And
has this cute little coffee shop that she's poured her little heart into, and she likes the locals, and you know cutesy. And then I want it to go fucking haywire.
so, okay, so Topher's is that all of Topher's suggestions was to just make the guy average and, like, that's
Yeah,
his angle?
yeah.
I do think also you can make her average even in that world if you
Hmm.
establish some kind of reason for, like, if you do this kind of crime or if you cross this kind of line, this is what happens to you. She would still have to be she's either a high political person who lost power,
Hmm.
or she could have worked for somebody who was in power, and then the new administration came and were like, "We're banishing you and your key people
Yeah.
to the human realm." Or it could be something that happens all the time,
Hmm.
and it's like this fucked up, evil, like, "Oh, in the under this reign, 40,000 people were sent to live trapped in the human realm." That
Yeah,
it gets to some
that
really
could work too. Yeah,
weird big bads in that sense. Like if
yeah.
their injustice was that the fact they were, like, stripping people of their powers or even
Hmm.
mining people of their powers and
Hmm.
sending them off to
Yeah.
just get fucked. I don't know. Anyway, sorry,
So
go ahead.
I had a vastly different idea.
Okay, okay. I mean, you
uh,
didn't have to do that. That's really a weird,
so
intense thing.
yeah, so I don't know where this idea came from, but
Okay.
I was like, I don't want the world to be whimsical and beautiful and overwhelmingly, like, I don't want it to be an ACOTAR world. I don't necessarily want a world that my characters want to live in because it's this beautiful, lush, magical place. I have that in a different space that I'm writing, and that belongs there, and I love it there. I want this to be very much darker and much more ominous when she enters this world. I wanted to have certain values that make her want to stay later. But I want for when she left, something happened that fundamentally shifted this world and created it, and like basically turned it from like the Pride Lands into Scar's reign of fucking hyena terror.
So, like, is that, like, a natural disaster or, like, altering timelines type beat? Like, is it, like, physical structures are fucked up, or is it, like,
So this
the
is
like, the yeah, timeline or something?
this is what I've come up with, and please tell me if this is fucking stupid, okay?
Oh,
But
I
this
will, I'm just kidding.
this is
I
what
already
I've
have an idea to suggest to you for an aesthetic if you don't have one in mind, but go ahead.
okay. So the male leader of this world, his ambition is not just greed, because greed is boring.
Oh, the Fey world.
Yes, it
Okay.
is greed. It is power. It is tyranny and dominance. But his thing is that he is trying to escape death. We're going Gilgamesh with this.
Yeah.
He
Old
wants to
school.
be immortal because he wants to maintain rule forever.
And they currently live, like, a couple thousand years or something? Is that
Yeah,
what
like
it
a thousand
okay.
years.
Okay.
Now, to do this, he courts Josephine, is the main character's name. He courts Josephine because
Oh, the big
Josephine,
ruler?
uh-huh,
Okay,
and
okay.
he courts her because her family are ferrymen to the
Oh, like
underworld, like
okay.
the fair. So she's the ferryman.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
Okay. And so his idea is that if I am with the ferryman and I die, the ferryman can turn me away and won't let me enter and will allow me everlasting life. Right? Because that's an ability that they have, apparently. Although she's like, that's not how it works, bud. But he's like, but that's how it works. You can make it work. And when she doesn't do that and she chooses her mate instead, for a number of reasons, because he's also offering her power and prestige and blah, 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 whatever else, right? He decides that he's going to banish her. And when he banishes her, because he's like, if I can't have you, then I can manipulate you. So he kills her. No, he doesn't kill her. He banishes her. And because there's no ferryman now, the dead can't enter into the afterlife.
Oh, she is the actual ferryman
She is the
and
actual
not just
ferryman.
related to
No,
okay.
she is the actual ferryman. So now the underworld, the dead cannot enter the underworld. So now there are just
Dead
souls
people, zombies.
roaming the earth. And they maintain their magic because that's something that goes away once you enter into the afterworld. So now you have all of these people who have been killed but are still living, and then you can't necessarily kill the bad guy because he's just going to keep living as a dead guy, right?
Interesting. Okay. Now, sorry, just maybe this is a stupid question. Is her like daughter or son gonna be the next ferryman, like the human ones, or does she have to have fake kids, or is it just whoever her lineage is?
It would be because her children. I haven't thought about that, but I'm assuming because they're half fae that like one of them would end up being the next
They
ferryman.
just like choose one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like High Lord chooses them for them or some shit.
Because here's the other thing: if you have a regular, so she already is a pretty high person of power, right? Like
Yeah.
she has
But it's
extra powers or
but
something
it's yeah, but it's
because of that.
devoid of political, like she's not, it's kind of how like it's detached cuz her thing is that, death comes for us all. So it's not a political power, right? It's not
Okay.
something that I'm gaining
Well, because people would try and like get her favor, right? So like
exactly.
surely she'd be hella fucking rich and like always being
Exactly.
like schmoozed and stuff.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. And I think there might be even some like there was anonymity in this role, right?
okay, that makes more sense because I
Yeah,
was like,
there yeah,
really,
yeah.
she can also
Yeah,
just
no,
come in
there
and yeah.
yeah, I think that it was like he had sought out to make a bargain with the ferryman, and then he finds her and, like, courts her, and she's like, "No, dude, I see through you. That's fucking nutso. Not no, thank
And
you.
then
I have a mate."
he banishes her, not thinking through the
Yeah.
consequences.
Yep.
Like,
Yep, yep, yep.
wait, what is this gonna do? Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then, her mate, in an attempt to get her back, instead of becoming a mercenary, he becomes a reaper. Where he has because she has, right?
Hmm.
Um there's weapons that are able to kill the dead and like not send them to the afterworld, but like cease their existence. That's like a last stitch sort of
Okay,
thing.
like a special weapon.
Yes.
Okay.
And that he manages to get this weapon. And so he is the only one in their world that can kill the unkillable.
Okay, so now he's rich as fuck?
I
Or
mean,
he's secret? Is he anonymous?
he's also he has that like anonymity of an assassin and his the
Surely one person sees him and they're like, "Let me pay you to
yeah,
do
no,
that
he does the like
all
Selena
day."
he does the like Selena Sardathian thing where it's like, they
Okay.
know him by an accolade. They don't know him.
And he kind
And
of always sneaks off before
yeah,
people can corner him
yes,
and
yes,
hire
yes,
him
yes.
or take his shit.
And the money that he gains from doing this, because he does both regular mercenary work, right? Which also becomes kind of obsolete because you're like, okay, well, if you're gonna go kill people, but they're not actually gonna die, that's lame. So like then he becomes more of a reaper where like people are seeking out to kill big baddies who are seemingly undead. But that
Yeah.
still fucks up the balance because say that you have a fucking, I don't know, an Epstein, right?
Mhm.
Who dies, but is not really dead, so he can still do all of his bullshit stuff. And so already there's an imbalance because he's not going to the afterworld. And then if a Reaper comes, in which granted, Epstein definitely deserves to not have any sort of afterlife,
Mhm.
right? But there's that balance to it that, like, okay, but the order of operations is that you die, you meet a judgment, right? You cross the ferryman, you go into the underworld, and then there's a judgment that pertains to your morality in life, right?
Oh,
And
so you mean like the weapon it okay, I guess I was thinking that the weapon just like makes their body stop moving, but like their soul persists and is like maybe like a ghost, but it just doesn't have any power. Like
nope.
they are annihilated.
Yes. That's the
Okay.
only option.
Which is why he's not being used left and right because people wouldn't be like, I don't want to annihilate grandma.
Exactly. Exactly.
What a sentence.
Yeah. It's not yeah, it's not something that's like a, oh well, I want that they've been here for 100 years and their soul can't get to the afterworld and they're trapped here, so release them. No, no. This is full annihilation, back into the ether.
Okay. Okay, well, I can see why people wouldn't really want his skills all the time because I mean maybe it's like whatever, but I can still see people like I think you could also maybe as like a stipulation like have his weapon like keyed to his blood or something or
It's keyed
that
to
he did it to
her
with blood
power.
magic.
It's keyed
Oh, it's
to
her weapon?
her it's her weapon. As a
He can
Reaper,
use it
or
because he's
as
her mate.
no, I think she sees the writing on the wall a little bit of
Oh, and
like
leaves it for him.
and leaves it for him.
So no one can just come and pick it up and be like, "This is mine," because
No.
I was like, "That's a big."
Yeah,
He'd be
no.
basically being
Maybe there's some bargain, or there's something where she's
okay.
keyed it just to him or something.
Or, like, someone else picks it up and they're like, "This is just a stick."
Yeah, or it
Okay,
could be
yeah.
like, they pick it up and it fucking kills them.
True, yeah,
It could have that
yeah,
kind of power where she's only trusted a few with these weapons, right? And I'm thinking because we got to have a little merry band of mercenaries. And so I don't know if it's going to be a thing where like she has these weapons because they're just these, something that you have as a ferryman, right? If shit goes wild for you, you have to have something that can kill a soul, right?
mhm,
Um, and that she maybe leaves it to this group, right? That's as like a fail safe for her. She's like, there's this king who is doing some weird shit, and so I'm gonna create, or maybe she creates the weapons herself, that she like starts to see the,
yeah,
that this leadership is doing some weird shit, and so she's worried about, if he tries to take her or something.
or yeah. Okay,
But I need to
and
have some reason. I mean,
or it
the
could just be
weapons.
that there's always, like since a ferryman was established, there's this
Mhm.
backup, like, that's
Yeah.
always been a thing or
And
something.
I was thinking of 3 different kinds of weapons. I was thinking of a long sword, a bow, or the bow and arrow, and like daggers. And so then there
Okay.
would be like a little group of 3, right? Him and his Reaper friends or whatever, and they each wield one of these weapons.
Mm. I was also thinking, yeah, because you could also do a thing where like maybe their weapons can't kill and only his can, but they
Mhm,
basically all work together because they can subdue or something. But
mhm.
yeah, maybe they could just all kill. That's fine.
But
But
there's
yeah, maybe
something.
it can only be activated when her presence has left the realm. Like if a
Yeah.
reaper, a ferryman were to
That could
die
work too.
unexpectedly, it's like
Yeah.
this ancient safe hold, whatever.
Or maybe it's
So
even like maybe it's weapons that were established in the underworld for the Reaper for like the most heinous of souls. The ones who don't even deserve the
yeah,
eternal torment. Ones that
or it could
deserve
also
this level.
yeah, I can see that. I can also see it kind of being a mix of all these and like maybe like before there was a ferryman, there was
That could work too.
fucking balls to the walls. These Fae got hold of some kind of like crazy
Yeah.
long whatever, and like the ferryman was there to regulate it all,
Yeah.
and so it can go sideways. It's just
Mhm.
like been so long,
Yeah, that like
yeah.
maybe the Fae made like a bargain with the gods or something that was like, we don't want to just fucking not exist anymore. So can we have a weights and measuring sort of system that
Yeah,
allow
or
or
just like a
something?
even just so like, oh, we need somebody to make sure that we get to the right spot, or so,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And then
Okay,
the
that is so interesting.
and then like the Reaper role is not this image of the Grim Reaper, which granted he's still going to be like, they all wear black and like cover their faces and probably wear cloaks. So it does have a little bit of that Grim Reaper vibe, but they aren't emaciated underneath that the way that we think of Grim Reapers, right? There's no
The
skeletons or whatever.
skeleton.
Yeah, there's not any of that. It's a position, it's a role, it's a job.
Okay. Interesting. I like that.
And
Dude,
maybe
I like that a lot.
it's a job that like there is some sort of like underworld being that usually had this job, but because the gate is closed, that those beings can't even come out of that realm to do the things. And so maybe they bestow, like maybe they're like, hey, we're like the underworld reapers. And
Yeah.
we usually do this, but now we're also trapped in this position because our gatekeeper is gone. So they somehow can like get the end. They're like, well, you got to take up the mantle of reaping, my dude.
Okay, I like that.
But
Uh
then there also has to be like a way to physically get to the ferryman in like the way in Zodiac Academy where she can like go to some weird shit and do some fucking weird magic and she can find the ferryman even though it's not
mm,
upon death. Like there has
yeah,
to be a place where you can like,
like a
cuz like even
shrine,
in, yeah, or like in Greek mythology, right? There's a place that you can access the
the river.
underworld even as the yeah, you can access the river.
Yeah. Although I think for her it'd have to be like once she's in the Fey realm, she can like go there anytime
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
she can, but
Yeah.
when it's like, "Oh, well, but how do these people know where to find her? Or how do they know blah 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 this and that?" You're like, "Well, there has to be an access point in their world. There has to be some sort of rift somewhere that allows, you know,
Mhm. I
for
will
that to
say the
happen."
hardest thing that I think the hardest challenge I think you still have yet, unless you've already thought about this, is if maybe maybe it's just fucked up now in this bro. I was gonna say if her being gone caused such deep problems, then her being back, they're just gonna be like, sit down, we're gonna tell you what's gone
Mhm.
wrong, and then you're it's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot to take in, and you're just whatever, and then I'll prove it to you because you'll have the power when you try to do this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But maybe her power's been broken or something like that because I do think like if it has to be there has to be something else fucked up with it because otherwise they're just gonna be like, yeah, there's
Yeah,
gonna be a
I
lot to hear, but you got to do this.
I haven't decided if they've somehow like bound her in a mortal body where like she has to
She can't
somehow
use
like
magic.
kind of get that like find a way to be remade or something or find a way to like you know or that her magic is trapped in her in such a deep level that it's inaccessible or that maybe it was taken from her, maybe the king somehow like took it out of her and they have to like their first mission is to like break into this castle and get her shit back kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Now I will
So
say, um, what is the threat to the humans?
there is no threat to the humans.
I think I think the easiest temptation is to just be like, I don't give a fuck if I had, my life's back there. I ain't got
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
I mean, I don't think it's hard to do that, but
maybe the threat to the humans is that so
the
there's
imbalance over time in the Fey world can bleed
that.
over. Or
Well,
maybe it already
and
has been and it's been increased terror attacks, increased
yeah,
this attacks type
what
of
I'm
thing. Okay.
thinking is that because there's like openings, rifts, portals, whatever fucking you want to talk like call whatever I plan on calling it, but there's openings between the worlds, right? Like you can travel from the Fey realm into the mortal realm and back and forth if you know how to.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna
I'm
say, how
thinking
easy is that?
it
Surely
can't be super easy, but I think
okay,
that it could be like it can
doable.
either be location based where there's rifts and you like make a certain sacrifice or some shit, right?
Okay.
To be able to do it. Or that there's some really fucked up spell that will open up these rifts, something along those lines. Or maybe there's a few people who have the ability to create this, right? Maybe they have a horn tattooed on their ass that can open up gates or something, right? Or there's keys.
Okay.
There's some access points.
Something.
And I'm thinking that maybe those access points are now becoming inundated with these
Mm.
souls and they're
And they're fucking
filtering
trapped.
into the mortal realm. And at some point, they will threaten because, right, if you have people who are not dying, you have overpopulation, right?
Mhm.
And just because they don't have resources, maybe part of being dead is that they now need to feed on something else like blood or
That would
life
make sense.
essence or something. And so because there's more people dying off and less people to feed off of, that they're entering into the mortal realm now. And then that could be like higher crime rates in the mortal
Yes.
realm and abductions and whatever
Okay.
else.
Because then I think you can also that also deals with the kids because if she's doing it to help to save her kids,
Mhm.
because she's saving everybody.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I still think you would run into this thing where people are just like, "Yeah, but my kids are only 8 for 1 more year, and I don't give a fuck," or like, "I
Yeah.
wanna bring them here, because 'cause
Yeah.
they're half-A, they can live here, like,
Yeah.
I'll figure it out after I get them with me." So I
Yeah.
think you have to have a really good reason for her not to go get them
Yeah.
right then. And
Yeah.
maybe it's that if there's some weird magic where he got her, brought her back over, and that was the last of his ability, or then the rift broke, or
Mhm.
like
Oh,
maybe
that
he
could
was
work
only
too.
able to hold it open for just barely long enough to get her through. And
Yeah.
she's like, take me back. And he's like, I can't, even if
Yeah.
I, and she's like, and then maybe there's a
Yeah, that
process
could work. Yeah.
because I think the
He's like,
kids
"I'm
just
not
become a
willing to
huge
sacrifice
focus.
more blood to do this," or
Yeah.
something, like,
Or, I was gonna say you could the other way you could do this is that you just have a married couple with no kids,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to have so much focus. But I think if there is a parent,
Yeah.
they are thinking about that kid
Yep.
every other page
Yep.
at
Yep.
least.
Yep.
And but maybe that's also interesting, and so maybe that is what you want. But I do think it's like we're doing this type of
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um but
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
I
do
think
like
that's
the
so
idea that
interesting.
the rifts are not maybe that's something where like there's ways to open up rifts into the mortal realm, and maybe at this point, like, because the king wants so much like he becomes like crazy, absolute power crazy,
Mhm.
maybe he has a rift open that he's sending people in, like he's sending these souls into the mortal realm too. Where he's like,
Yeah.
why take over one realm when I can have all the realms?
Or maybe he's trying to throw away his trash, the souls that are he's like,
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, "I
let's
don't
just
need you.
do
These are
dump
good guys. Yeah, these are good
let's
guys.
just do what is that called? Dumping when companies are
Yeah.
just like, let's dump it into the ocean. He's like, let's
Yep.
dump all these souls in the human world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That okay, that is
But
super
but
interesting.
then the problem is that even if these are souls that would have been in, like, a good place in the afterlife, they still need to sustain themselves.
Yeah, and that's gonna the hunger is gonna drive them crazy and they're gonna do thing.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that's fun. Okay.
It's
Dude, so
different, right?
you
It's
have like a
okay.
whole you have oh my god, yeah, it's super sick. And honestly, I thought that the writing itself, like, I don't mean to say that your writing was bad before, but it seemed much more like not much more, but more polished than like whatever the last time I read your
Yeah.
specific writing was.
Yeah.
Although I guess I read it last week, but you know what I mean. It just
Yeah.
felt more polished. Um and Yeah, I think technically if you were to turn this into a book eventually, I think this would actually be like chapter 5 or something.
Yeah.
Because I think you want your inciting incident like 10% in the way in the book
Yeah.
usually, but like
I
you
just
would
didn't
just
wanna,
put a
like,
couple scenes of her just like going to the
yeah.
grocery store and like
Yeah. I
doing
didn't
regular
wanna,
shit.
like,
Maybe you can build in some of the crime and stuff,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
like very minimal and it can
Yeah.
be edited later, but
'Cause the
probably
Topher
would,
said the
yeah.
same thing. He was like, he's like, considering how quickly things happen, it's like the end of chapter 1, she's fucking snatched. He was like, it seems like this would be like a novella or like a shorter story.
Yes.
He's like, I'm thinking like 300-page kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
you
know
want
how
the
you think.
big thing, but I know you just wanted to write the big thing, so I
Yeah,
assumed you
yeah.
would, yeah,
And I told him, I was like, yes, but I also didn't, I don't, right? Not knowing where I'm going with this. I don't want to write 3 chapters of my life, because let's
yeah.
be honest, she has my life, like, she's very, she's
I
just
know when I saw like TV and like I was like, "Oh my god, Sam," because I always hear your voice being like, "I don't want to write about the real world," and I was like, "There it is."
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I feel like there could be some more interactions, a little more,
But
whatever.
that's like an
But
easy thing, and it would
I
probably be
also,
better to write later anyway, so you can
yeah,
build
but
up
there were a
to it.
couple of things that I did set up in that chapter that I'm hoping will make sense, right? So the boys are taken to her sister's house.
Mhm.
and she cuts her hand in the first chapter, and she
Yes, I was
removes
like, "That blood is what calls him." Is that what called him?
it's not what calls him, but
Okay.
she takes off her wedding ring and her watch. So when
Uh,
he finds her, she doesn't have a wedding ring and he doesn't see the boys. He just sees her with this guy that she went on a date with.
that's okay,
So
interesting.
then when she wakes up in chapter 2 and she's like, "What did you like, where is my husband?" She goes full Rowan on him. He's like, "Your husband? Like, is it not
Yeah.
customary to wear a ring in the mortal realm?" And she's like, "The mortal realm? Who the fuck are you? Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "I don't see a ring." She's like, "I cut myself, yes, like the last time you saw me." And that's part of it too, is that the cut is going to be healed when she wakes up. So she's like, "However long ago it was when we first fucking met." And he's like, "However long ago? It was 12 hours ago." And she's like, "How was it 12 hours ago? My hand is healed." Like, like already getting these tips of like, this, I'm in a different place. This something else is happening here. And like, he's like, "Why don't you have a ring if you're married?" And she's like, "Because I fucking cut myself and I took my rings off." Like, or then she's like, "My boys." And he's like, "What are you like?" I want him to kind of have a moment where like, there's going to be no POVs from his perspective. It's just her perspective, I think.
Okay.
But I want there to be moments in his facial expressions where he is kind of clearly trying to cover up the, "Oh shit, this is more intense than I thought, just getting my mate back and fixing our world. This just
Yeah.
got much more complicated and much more sad for him," right? Like, you're with
Yes.
somebody for 20 years who is literally your fated fucking mate, the absolute perfect equal to you or whatever, and then she finds the love of her life and has children with him. Like, yikes. Because at the end of the day, too, he does want her to be happy. Like, he loves her. And so, like, there's got to be a little bit of it can't be full selfish. Like, I don't care. I don't care that
Yeah.
you have this. Like, this is going to be
No,
something that
yeah.
hurts her too, to be away from them.
And in a weird way, if he's her mate, he should sort of also feel like kind of a connection to them, right? Because
Yes.
mate children are also, I
Yep.
don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I will say this is what spoil. I don't think you'll ever read Outlander, but this is what Outlander does in the end of the first book. It's like we're in one time period. I think maybe I don't know. Anyway, it's no, we end in one time period and we go back and we're in the other one and it's been 20 years and she has an 18-year-old daughter that's from the other guy. But the problem with it that pissed me off, the reason I could not continue, because when you fuck with the kids, it's really hard. Like
Hmm.
it's a hard thing to do. But so I was like, okay, so if she goes back in time and has a kid in that realm, then the daughter that she now knows will cease to exist,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we're killing a kid. Even if
Yeah.
it's
That.
the same kid, but just in a different, you're still deleting that person's like
Yeah.
life. And I just was like, I can't. I
Yeah.
don't know how they're gonna fix this, but I don't think there's anything they could do that would make me now get on board because I already had
Hmm.
an ick from the weird like spanking
Yeah.
discipline my wife scenes, and then it was like you're gonna kill your 20-year-old or you're gonna
It's a very, very late term.
bring her back to her dad after he hasn't known her entire childhood, like, that's
Yeah.
also fucked up,
Yeah.
and and
All
and
for
she
the
did
sake
choose
of,
the human husband, or she got stuck in that side,
yeah.
and I don't know.
Well, and then just to know
Too
that you,
messy.
yeah, no, to I can
But
that's
that's
one.
time periods, because
Yeah.
that's much more violent, I think,
Yeah.
because it's
And that's something
yeah,
I don't think I will ever do time travel because I don't trust myself. I will fuck it up.
yeah.
I
Also the
will,
implications, like, you're
yeah,
undoing
yeah.
essential
No.
core
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah. No, can't do
Ugh.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's trauma, like the kids are traumatized to some degree, right? Mom
Oh,
goes
they
fucking,
definitely will be, yeah,
yeah, like your mom went missing when I was 6 and 8. Like that's intense, right? Um
and never came back. I'm just kidding. No, she'll come back.
she
Or
comes back.
or I will not buy your next book.
She will come back. People will
She will
be
come back.
reunited. There will be a moment where, yeah, uh-huh. And maybe that's
Um,
the second book, right? Maybe the first book is all about her remembering her memories and kind of falling for this guy again and having this weird pull and being like, but I also can't be with you because, like, I'm married.
yeah.
And then maybe that, because second book is when they get separated, right? Everyone gets separated, basically. Like, that's kind of how you have to go. There has to be a time period where they're not together. And so maybe she gets stuck back into the mortal realm, but now has her powers and like she gets now
Or
it's like I'm back with my husband and I'm trying to get back to the other place to fix things. And I don't really want to sleep with you now because I have a mate. Nobody's fucking no, just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. Lots of things. And
yeah.
yeah. But then that because I wanted to make it to where like, oh, she's just gonna cheat on her husband because she found her mate. Like, no, they've had a life together. So is her husband. So like, there's an equal sort of stakes, and takes away some of that like moral problems with if there's any sex happening.
Yeah.
But I also love the idea of like possibly going into the underworld realm.
I mean,
Um,
that sounds like a book too.
yeah.
That's why she doesn't have either of them. Or that's the book where they have to work together to go help her. And not to in a
Yes.
cheesy way, but like that is
But
what they
yeah,
would do. They'd go,
yes, you would.
okay, well, fuck you, but
Yeah.
also our bitch is down there.
Yeah, mate of my mate, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's go. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Um, that is not what I expected you to say.
It's not what I expected to say either. And I also loved the idea of like a female ferryman.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
that's
I
I
love
love
that.
just switching it on its head. It's like, no, this it doesn't it's not, it's the title, but it's not necessarily tied to gender. Like it's whatever.
Hmm. Yeah.
And this like dark, ominous because I want some of her power to have that, right? Like I want her to like be this cutesy little sunshine coffee shop girl in the human realm. And then when she's back where she belongs, she's like Amaranth the Darkness, where
Not
she
Amarantha,
no, but like she takes
but
on that sort of aesthetic where she has
yeah,
right, people have a
you're
fear
gonna
of
doom your
her.
soul to hell.
Yes. Yes.
I can just see like Simon like at the end of the book being like, I knew you were too harsh on the punishments. You only
Right?
saved 2 minutes too long of a timeout.
But that's also what's funny though, because they're super lax with their kids. She's like, I told you that you needed to be dressed before you watch TV. And she's like, whatever, just get dressed when you're done. Like she has this like lax sort of parenting.
Life's
Like,
too short. Why am I gonna torture them over a few
exactly.
rules?
They're young. They'll try harder tomorrow, kind of a thing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love
In
that for her that
life, you can always tell your employer you'll be a little late and he won't be mad at you. In death, you'll get sent
yeah.
to fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Dude, you're
Yeah.
obligated to write this now.
And
And
I'm
do you
thinking
realize
part
if
of
we wrote oh, go ahead.
I think part like one of the ways that she maintains a living, right? Because you still have to have money to do things, is that you pay the ferryman upon your death. But here's the thing, because she's like anonymous, it's just, it's like the coins over the eyes. It's like a small ferryman fee, the way that it is in, Greek mythology and different
Mhm.
mythologies. So she's not getting these huge payouts of people being like, get me to the right realm. It's just like their little toll. She earns her toll. And so, like, she's
Yeah.
like, I'm not political. I'm not trying to gain stuff. I need to maintain anonymity because I'm not going to take bribes and whatever else from the dead. But there's a small fee for my services, and like that could be part of like the
It's
religious
nice
customs
one.
that they like. There's a certain token or a certain amount of coins or something that they like put with the dead for their crossing or something. And like it ends up being where like that's kind of the joke of it. It's like, well, we have to make a living too. Do you know how many people
Mhm.
die every day? I can't have a job. This is my job.
Yeah. Keeps you from having to make a Patreon as the
But
ferryman.
it's well, yeah, and then but it's also like a small amount because every person has to be able to pay the ferryman,
Yes.
right? It's not like the rich get access. It's like, two
That could be an
little
interesting story, dude. Can you imagine of one where like some character like has to turn from death because they can't afford it, and so then they're just
yeah.
dragging their rotting carcass
Mhm.
through a half
And
life,
it
trying to
doesn't
fucking
necessarily yeah, and I'm, like, thinking it like, at
not in
this
this
point
story.
just
That's
now,
like
I'm, like,
almost a
thinking
separate story.
brainstorming that, like, Maybe if it's not even coins, right? Like maybe there's some other aspect of
Power. You
it
get
could be
paying.
power, or it could be just like what they can, like that's like a tithe almost, right? Like
Yeah.
she maintains sustenance on the things that people offer the ferryman, and those offerings can range from food and goods to money to clothing to whatever it is that they have access to, right? And
Mhm.
when someone dies who is super super poor, then they can offer up, a fucking flower or something. Like she has, I want it to be egalitarian, but it's also a way for her to provide for her own self.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Do you realize if we do this all summer, we'll have like 40 chapters?
Hmm.
That's not how many weeks are in a summer. But suck my dick, I don't care. You know what I mean? We do this for 2 years. We could have 100 chapters. We could have.
Babe, there are 12 weeks in a summer.
We're writing 60 chapters this summer. Uh,
But I will say that writing, even something that's not the like book or project that I've been working on, does get the creative juicing going and like definitely leads to more writing. So even if I'm writing one chapter for you for this story, it
yeah.
makes it very easy to be like, oh, I'll just like keep going with this other story, or I'll come
Yes.
back. It's like if there's a consistency, it's like any other muscle that you exercise, right? If I'm consistently writing, say on a Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon or whatever,
Mhm.
then like, okay, well then it's easy to also throw in a Thursday, and write for the other story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't think that it's going to end up being back burner, especially once both my kids are back in school.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I also I forgot about this kind of, and I was busy and doing shit. And so I just sat at like literally at midnight. I was like, I'm gonna sit in bed and write a goddamn chapter. And I had spent the night before and that day like listening to Greek mythology, and I was like, I'm just gonna do a retelling. That's gonna be my high concept. And
Hmm.
instead I go, no, I'm gonna pants something, and I just fucking just had this idea for this buried city thing.
It's crazy
And I
though
just
that you did
fucking cranked it
like
out.
30 minutes because one, it was interesting and lovely, and the description of your writing is so much more exciting than mine. Um,
No. Also, most of your issues were they're such easy fixes. You could just
it's
give me
I
like 20, like there's like, oh, that verb should just be in a slightly different order.
Yep,
Now it's like
yep, yep.
like those are the kind of problems you want to have, I will
What
say.
I one thing that I do is I will highlight, like I'll basically like control F or whatever it is for like finding words, and I'll find the word was. And so instead of
Yes.
saying like there was this, then I just change that sentence to like, instead of saying, it was raining, right? Rain hit, the sound of pitter patter, you know, I don't know, fucking,
Mhm.
echoed through the hall. Right now, it's raining, but it doesn't say
Yes.
it was raining, right? But like sometimes I just need to write it was raining so I can get to the shit that is in my head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, what you're describing is the paramedic method, which is somehow coming up on Al Purdue, but it's probably also used for that. But I've always seen it in creative writing context. But
Yeah.
it's look at all the verbs, look at all the adverbs, look at
Yep.
all the descriptions.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like, but that's like later stages. But like I'm saying, the writing this time was like, it felt, yeah, maybe it's just the fact that it was like this is a chapter, and it
Yeah.
just felt like
Could also
very,
be that when I
and the
started
descriptions were more interesting.
that, and when I started writing um Bound by Blood and Iron, that's the title that I chose for the other book,
Oh,
by the
okay.
way. Yeah. So when I started writing that, I had read maybe 20 romantasy books, and now I have over 100 read.
Yes.
So,
I think you're just literally getting better by osmosis, which
yeah,
is the
yeah,
natural process. The
exactly. Yeah.
only process. The reason no fucking
Mhm.
freshman kids can write because they don't fucking read a stupid ass,
Yep.
not one word.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was fun,
So now I
honestly.
want to hear about yours because I was
Yeah.
obsessed with, I have so many like questions, which is a lovely place to be, by the way. And there's
Nice.
world building happening in it already. I'm like,
Okay,
so
was I
there's
too heavy on the exposition?
not at all.
Just kidding.
No, not at
I
all,
made that
right? I
shit.
know that I know they're in
Yeah.
a place called the Buried City, which I'm assuming is a city that is buried,
I
right?
started as my first paragraph, and then I
Yeah,
wrote the beginning, and then I wrote
there's
the
some,
after.
like, above and below stuff happening that, the difference between lifestyles above and below, and I love that this, like, the first couple of sentences, I was like, "Oh, I'm here for it," right? And so, like, because already I know, so she's looking like this character has lost some money, and the money is called Grens, which I love.
Yeah, I turned to Kale and I was like, "Give me a currency." And he was like, "Maybe like grins, but like not spelled like that. Like a smile." And
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, done."
Yeah, I thought it was like a play on, like, green because money is green and,
Oh, yeah, I think it could be
yeah,
kind of either. Yeah.
I loved it.
Um,
I loved it.
yeah,
But
let's
yeah, I wanna
see.
hear.
Okay, so haven't thought as much about it, but oh, it's also a boy.
Oh, nice, okay.
Forrest is a boy. I don't know why, I just
Forest
felt right.
makes sense to be a boy. Yeah, Sam, you
Yeah.
weirdo.
And it's funny that his name's Forrest. I also didn't really plan that, like, "Oh, you live underground and your name is Forrest." I
I
just
love that.
I just like the name Forrest, and it just kind of felt like him. I was
Mhm,
thinking if like I could see him like his other names that would have fit his vibe in my head would have been like Ryder or like something kind of like that, but
okay.
I just didn't like that, and I feel like that's like a classic. Forrest, I feel like is much I haven't seen it in 50 romantasy books. It's
Yeah,
not
neither have I.
yeah, a den name or something like that.
Mhm,
But anyway, so yeah, it's a boy and um and I also made myself write in first person. I think that's what makes it feel so different than what I usually
mhm,
do.
mhm.
And I don't it's hard to write in first person. I did accidentally switch into third person a couple times and had to fix it, but I think that's where you get all like the voiciness
Mhm,
from. And yeah, his attitude is just like kind of like he's just kind of fucking over it and
mhm.
pissed and like the world is tiring.
Yep,
And it is like an underground city. The thing that happened was that the climate's been sort of getting more and more fucked up, but like it used to be like when his parents were alive and his parents died in the thing that happened along with many people. It used to be that like there was below ground, which is where some people lived, but it was like it's not very nice, and the
like
above
the
ground's where
slums
the good
almost.
people live.
Okay.
But there's less land and that less good workable land, and so more and more people are having to go underneath. And his parents are like, it's like very dangerous, very like anyway. But basically, there's this big mudslide thing um that just takes out like a bunch of people at once, like so many people, and his parents are part of that. um and so then everyone goes underneath, and so now
Mhm.
he's like, and this is where we all live, and that's like 5 years ago or something.
Okay.
um I did feel conflicted about making him yet another fantasy orphan, but whatever, this is just for fun
Yeah.
story. So um and yeah, so there's like a lot of not gangs, but kind of like
Mhm.
there's a lot of like everyone has watchers and lives in these really weird apartments that are like right up against each other, but they're also very isolated. And there's just like there's the thing that he's scared of is the Rivs are I think the cops. They're
Yeah.
like there's very strict laws, and if you don't
Mhm.
pay, you're gonna be put in like a work camp
Okay.
situation, and it's very fucked up, and like you desperately want to avoid that, but it's very expensive, and so
Got
like
it.
2 hours is like impossible for him to just find 2 hours worth of pay somewhere. That's like, you know what I mean, like you can
Yeah.
only get it from working, and so he gets shorted. I think
Mhm.
he got shorted maybe because he was disciplined, like he mouthed off, then they were like
Okay.
go home early, and
Mhm.
yeah, and then he was just hoping it wouldn't like amount to like being short, and he was short. And so then he goes to this guy to ask him for, I guess, a job. I guess, well, a
This guy
loan.
has a cool name.
Drayden?
Yeah, that's a cool name.
I just fucking made that up. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, yeah, those are the best names.
Yeah. And, yeah, the goons.
Mhm, mhm. Now,
Oh,
are the Watchers actual people? Because my question was like, I was like, are these Watchers like security like guys standing outside these houses that people hire, or are they like cameras?
it's not, it's a low tech. It's no
Okay.
tech. So it is like everyone has their watcher. And
Okay.
maybe for poor families, it's like whoever's like you're living
Dad.
in apartments, but everyone's on a watch at all
Yeah.
times type of thing.
Got it. It's like a
Or the
neighborhood
rich
watch
people can hire
situation.
people.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, but I think it's like every single person has a watch
Got it.
on everything, and probably because
Okay.
it's so expensive and the
Mhm.
cops are kinda corrupt, and I don't know, but they're not kinda corrupt, they're very corrupt, but,
Yeah.
um, I haven't figured out the situation with them, but basically the second you don't pay, they're gonna come for you, um,
Okay.
and so that's what he was realizing, and so he's, like, walking what he like, when he's like, "I should've gone right, but I'm gonna go left," 'cause the other way is, like, the what he should do is, like, if I couldn't make my payment, I have to go to this, like, work camp, or I have to go do, something.
Got it.
Um, and so he said he's gonna go basically, this guy's kind of like yeah, just kinda like, I don't really know. Not like he's, like, respectable, he's not, like, wanted by the cops.
Got it.
He is,
So
like,
like
a
mob bossy
dirty
almost? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't, like, love the feeling of that, but it's kinda like this whole street is made of them because they're just
Got
more
it.
privileged people, and so it's
Okay.
like if you have
He's like
money
an
and
Arab in Hamill, where he's doing real fucked up shit, but he has
he kind of is, like, allowed to,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and people don't really care because
Mhm.
people don't really care about, like, other
Yeah.
people. I mean,
But
I
they
see
don't have time to. They have to it's survival, it sounds like.
yes, yeah, yeah,
So
so,
what does this person's money go to? They pay the RIVs? Like, that's their thing? They just have to
yeah,
pay
I think
police
they
all the
pay
time?
off them or something. I haven't really fleshed that
Yeah,
out
because
at
it was like,
all.
even if they're not committing a crime, they still have to pay police off?
Yes, and I think
Oh,
maybe it's like, just a good old, like, we'll make sure nobody comes and kills you, like a security fee. But yeah, so I'm thinking, let's see. Yeah, maybe it's just like, hmm, yeah, I don't know what the I don't know the stakes. I don't know the
okay.
danger. I was just gonna see what
I
happens. I
love
was
that.
thinking of like, he takes him and he's like, okay, if you want a loan, I'm gonna have to. He's gonna give him something dangerous to do. I don't like the feeling of like we're gonna do an assassin story, so I don't
Yeah.
want it to be that. But I think maybe
Maybe
he'll give him
smuggling.
something.
He's smuggling or he's,
Yeah. Or I was
taking
thinking,
a watch or
something to, like, upset the politics, like, I was thinking of having him be like, uh, "You have to go up to I want you to go over there and cause some, like, just stir some shit up with people I don't like,
okay.
and if you get caught, fuck you, and, like, you
Mhm,
never but this is what I want you to do." Something like he's gonna put him up to some shit, or maybe have him tail someone or watch
mhm,
something like that. Because yeah, they are all kinda stuck down there. Above ground is basically, like, a barren wasteland of
okay,
nothing, and it's not you can't really go out there even though technically there is a part of, like, the cave or the whatever that's just, like, is open to the elements, like, there
okay.
could be animals that come in. Yeah, I don't know what this world has danger-wise. um, Part of me is like, maybe I don't plan it out because maybe then it gets too although we really locked a lot of your shit down, but I don't really
What
know enough.
what if there's like, I don't know, my brain is doing its own thing, so just
Mhm.
bear with me if these are
Yeah,
horrible ideas. What if he, like, it runs some sort of, debauchery establishment, right? A
mob
brothel.
boss, Drayden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He like maybe not full mob boss, but like, he runs like a tavern or like a brothel or something, right? Because if this is a place where there's fucking no joy, I can promise you people are fucking and drinking, right? Or that he's making some sort of, elixirs right? Like drugs or alcohol or something like that. And maybe what he's sending this kid into this main character into is something that has to deal with that establishment. And like, if it's a brothel, then this kid could end up in a place where he's like, I thought that the buried city was fucking depraved before. This is a whole new level of depravity. And it's like almost takes what he's willing to do to make these 40 grand even more sort of desperate, that he's, like, oh, I got to turn a blind eye to, I don't know, slavery or, you know, indulgences in, you know, shit behavior kind of a thing. And then that could give that person enough clout, right? Because if you, and I don't want to go full mob boss, you don't have to like write it that way. But if this guy is running a place like a brothel or a tavern, then that makes it very easy to play, to like be like he pays the cops off, because the cops are going to want to go to those establishments.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. So Drayden has to be like kind of an adversary. He's not like in with the cops. He's just like they're gonna leave him alone because he pays them, right?
Yeah.
But like they could be an adversary as well.
It
Well,
could
kind of
be
everyone's
it
adversaries.
could be a it could be a like you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you kind of a thing. Like he has enough on enough cops where they won't shut his business down because there's enough people who come there, but he also pays them off, but is like a smaller fee. Like, you know, it's kind of like a you scratch my back, I scratch yours, but at the end of the day, we are not allies. We are not friends. I will sell you out as quickly as you sell me. It's like the Cold War between them, right? Like he has enough on them, they have enough on him, and they all just turn a blind eye to their bullshit.
Okay.
Right? They don't go
Yeah.
after him because enough of the Rivs are enjoying his establishment to where he can put like, you know, bring charges against them or whatever, bring evidence against them for doing stupid shit. Because there has to be some stake for the Rivs too, right? Like these are just people who are cops. So like there has to be, if they're corrupt, there has to be something within that system that could get them in trouble, right? So if there's like lower level Rivs who are going to a brothel and he somehow keeps information about that, then when they come in to say something, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Riv Smith, I'm not paying you today." And they're like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Do you want your boss to know that you see fucking,
Mm.
you know, I don't know, Brie every Thursday or whatever, you know?"
Yeah.
Like maybe there's kind of like a that thing where they have enough on each other to where they could fuck each other up, but because of that, they just mind their business. But he still has to pay, they all kind of whatever. And you can take that, right? I don't know if there's magic involved in your world, but
Yeah.
you can turn that into a magic system, right? That like he is he's dealing in some sort of magic that the Rivs indulge in, and because they do, and they offer him, like there's something like, they turn a blind eye to him making fucking superhuman elixirs or some shit because they need the extra power to do their job, and he makes money off of that, and they don't bother each other.
Yeah. So maybe do we think that there's like, is this the vibe of a super centralized government?
That's a you question. But it does so far.
It kind of no, it kind of lends itself to like the Rivs are either secret police of this authoritarian government, or they are they're this block's
Yeah.
faction to keep out the neighbors who are
Yeah.
like they're arrived they're one
Mhm.
they're our gang, but they're also fucked up to us
Yeah, and it
type
could
of
it could
thing.
be like a tribal situation where it's just people who found themselves in a position to be able to hurt other people and keep them, like gang violence type of shit, where it's just these are people who are willing to go out and fucking wreak havoc. So you but I think the the paying part of it, that you have to pay or you go into a concentration camp or you go into something, that feels like this is like the Rivs are more of like Gestapo central
Yeah, well,
government thing.
gangs do that kind of shit too.
Yeah,
Like,
they absolutely do.
usually like for businesses, it's like, oh, if you want to stay in business, you have to pay us this.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's where kind of like,
But then the threat would be torture and death and not necessarily a work camp. I think that that's the
yeah,
difference.
that's probably not. Maybe there's some other reason. Maybe like
Mhm.
there's maybe okay, maybe 'cause Kel and I were talking about like maybe the punishment if you get kicked out of the buried city is that you have to go live above ground where you're basically sent to die. But then
Yeah.
I was like, but surely then just at some point we're gonna have to do that because that will happen if that's in the
Mhm.
narrative, and then it's gonna be about that, and that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
But my idea with the buried city was just that it's just a place full of problems and people and corruption,
Yeah.
and 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 this was my see, I'm not good at like creating conflict, so
Mhm.
I literally said He'll give me a problem when he said somebody owes someone money, and I was like,
Yeah.
great.
But that
Um,
could be part of it, right? It could be like a slums situation,
Mhm.
right? Where it's dog eat dog world. The gangs run everything and you fucking pay the gangs off to leave you alone.
maybe it's just that,
And then you
yeah,
also then everybody is your enemy and nobody is your enemy because if you can pay everybody off, then you have no enemies.
yeah.
And if you can't pay anybody off, then they're all out to get you. And then that leadership changes hands and can have multiple hands. It's not a central leader government, it's, tribal gang leaders.
And what's to stop? Here's the thing: is that sometimes when I get into stories like this, I'm like, but surely somebody's nice. Like, how can they all be just evil?
They wouldn't all be evil, but they would turn a blind eye to it because the people who are evil and are the ones with power and the ones with weapons.
Okay.
So you just mind your business, you keep your head down. It's a fear-based society.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That would make sense with the Watchers as well.
And then
Uh.
it could be like it's kind of like how gang
Oh.
affiliation is where it's blocks, right? Or
Yes.
neighborhoods or whatever, right, are run by
Maybe
a
there's
certain.
different cities or something.
Yeah, but then they could also be right. People would start asking what's your affiliation, right? Who's
Yeah.
your person, like kind of like a jarldom almost. You could even go with something like that and take away some of the like American gang terminology from it and
Yeah. I
call
don't
them.
want it to feel like that kind
Yeah,
of
but
gang
they
thing.
can have that kind of system where it's like, there's a jarl or there's a tribal or neighborhood or small, area leader of all these things and they all kind of war against each other for resources.
Yeah. Okay. I also noted my one note in my thing is that the opening scene is not the inciting incident. It's his normal and the worst life he had before. The actual inciting incident is going to come from him doing this thing. So
Yeah,
this is just to show the world, which I guess it is doing that. So
but
yeah, I
it's
don't really
interesting as
know what the
fuck.
rest of the world is.
Yeah.
But maybe I just need to actually write in it because I am.
Mhm.
I guess yeah, because I think I am more of a pantser, so maybe people will emerge.
Mhm.
But yeah, I need to I kind of like part of me doesn't like the brothel
Mhm.
because it's kind of like that's I don't know. Part of me wants it to be like less I don't not people focused, but well no.
It's
I don't
it's it's
know.
it's too real world problem. It's also really
No.
derogatory towards women
Yeah, or
typically
like
and
maybe it's
children.
something just more like less expected and like
Mhm.
yes, people are going to gamble, they're going to drink and they're going to fuck. What else are they going to do? Kill? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I just need to fucking
What if
write
he
it and figure it
deals
out.
what if this guy like deals in like healing magic
Mm.
where that's the level of fucked up that this is that people don't even have access to take care of basic shit for themselves like medicine and healing and that somehow he offers this shit out and like maybe the culture is like look if you're not strong enough to survive then fuck you.
What if what if he gets healing materials from like dangerous areas?
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe Drayden is a healer and uses
Like basilisk
materials.
venom if you will.
Yeah. Or like, you know, something that only grows above ground.
Mhm. Yeah.
And maybe use materials then. But wouldn't he have like a fucking factory to do this? Or maybe he has to stay anonymous. Uh or has to stay secret as a healer.
Yeah, maybe he
Because maybe
maybe
people would like go after him.
maybe healing is outlawed. Maybe you could build in a culture that's like this is survival of the fittest. And if you're gonna die of the flu, you're a weak bitch anyways, and we didn't want you.
Okay, so
You know what I
some reason for
mean?
him not to be allowed to heal people or to need to do it secretly. Maybe doing his use materials that are hard to get and forest.
Or that he finds a way to like cultivate a food source or something that like nobody else, like people are starving, right? And he's like found some magical way to fucking
Mm.
create
But
something that it's
Drayden is
yeah.
meant to be like a not a big bad, just like a not even an Arab Hamill, more like just kind of like an entry
So
point.
maybe he like what if it's like he started out with dealing in like poisons, right? Like this
Oh
is
yeah.
his backstory, right? It's like to protect himself, he starts out in like gaining ways to protect himself through through poisons and shit.
Mhm.
And over time it turned into he found something that's like the elixir of fucking life kind of shit.
Okay.
And this is he has this access to it and he doesn't want this secret getting out. And yeah, maybe there's something in that vein. And then again, you could just build into, right, the it's the it's unfey or whatever, right, to get healing or whatever.
Yeah, or there's a cost to it.
Yeah, maybe
Oh
the
yeah,
only
maybe
people.
he is using the cost and he has to secretly like fucking kill someone to use this
Mhm.
kind of healing magic.
Mhm.
And so that's part
or
of
the
what he needs
only
the rivs to shut
or
up about.
the only people who have the ability to heal are the rivs, and that they charge an absorbent amount of money for it, to the point where people would just take
Okay,
death. Not
maybe.
that that's a commentary on the American medical system,
Hmm.
but
Okay, maybe rivs are the healers,
mhm,
and they are like uh charge hella, and it's fucked up.
yeah,
Um,
because their mentality
and
could be
they
something
corner
along
the
like the way
market.
that like the way that they get prestige and power and can end up being this like weird almost like like police force is because their mentality is right everybody gets sick. It's
Well,
like
what if it's we already have a natural disaster that ruined everyone, so maybe
yeah, that too.
people are getting sick at rates that are
Mhm.
like basically they depend on the rifts to
Yeah.
live. So maybe
Yeah.
instead of saying, "Oh, I should go to the work camp," maybe he's gonna well, no, yeah, because then he could still go get the money to get his
Yep.
monthly healing.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh,
okay.
maybe the mudslide like corrupted their blood
Yeah,
or something. So
that's what I mean, or like
literally everybody
the
has some
air.
sort of fucked up ailment that the
Yes.
ribs have a they have capitalized on.
And Drayden has maybe a different kind of healing. Like,
Yep.
they've got the usual healing, and Drayden maybe yeah, maybe he
And then that can
needs a
create
human
right
life or has some
yep.
kind of illicit activity that's how
Yep.
he heals, but he can still do it on the
Yep.
side. And now,
And then he
do they
has
know he
right.
can do that, or they just let him because he has other adventures? They let him get do kind of do whatever he wants and don't check in on him too much. But or is it weird that he doesn't go get healed from them, or maybe he does for show or something? Like, do we think that they know everything that he can heal, or no? They don't know he can heal. They just think he's like a
Yeah.
brothel owner.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea that everyone is sick all the time.
Mhm.
And because of the climate,
Yeah, and maybe
everyone's
he has maybe he's like this like kind of he's an anti-hero, right? That like he is one of these gang leader jarl something, right? Because he has learned how to work within the system, but he's doing all this fucked up shit because he's trying to heal people, right? That like he's the means to the end guy.
Mhm.
Right? If I can find a cure for everybody, then it doesn't matter how many people I have to kill to do it because I'll save more people than I would ever hurt.
Well, I don't think I feel like he's definitely not a good guy, but he is willing maybe to do this kind of like, yeah, let's say there's a deep cost to it, like I have to kill
Yeah.
someone else. But he's willing to do it for people who will pay enough. And so he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, they're gonna give me this much money.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted any sort of level of altruism in him or not.
Not traded, I don't think, or
Yeah.
maybe a little
Yeah, so
bit, like
maybe
more
yeah.
like a soft side, but not like he's not think he doesn't see himself. He's too jaded to think that he's
Okay.
doing some greater good thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, mm, I talk like I know the guy.
You should. They're your characters. You're creating
No,
them.
but I just met him
Yeah.
when I wrote him the
But
other
no, I
night.
like that idea because then that could even be where it's like, yeah, he has this access to healing, but he's really no better than a Riv because he's still charging
Yes.
people for it.
Yes, and he's just gonna keep him away from those
Yeah.
that current
And maybe
danger.
maybe he goes to like maybe he has one guy. Maybe he goes to one Riv steadily who he quote unquote buys from, right? Buys his
Mm.
monthly elixir from, but they have a very specific deal where like he fucking gives this Riv money on the side to or whatever resource he wants, gives him free access to fucking whatever he can, and this Riv doesn't tell anybody that he doesn't take the elixir. He's got like one inside guy. Maybe his brother's a Riv or something.
Mhm.
Where it's like there's a reason why there's a Riv that covers for him. So anytime they're like, we don't see you. When was the last time you made your payment? When was the last time you took your thing? And he's just like, ask my brother. He gives me my monthly thing.
Yeah, I like the brother aspect. Keeps secret that he doesn't take the
And like maybe they don't know that they're brothers,
money.
right? Maybe there's something, that could even add to it where he's just like, talk to officer whatever. I get it from him. And like they just don't question it, right? Oh, you took your monthly whatever. Like it's on your or that they could have districts, right? The
Yeah.
ribs could be in certain districts where like you just go to your local area to get your elixir and he has a guy on the inside that he's like either related to or has some sort of like um has something on that he can blackmail into putting him on the books for taking his shit.
Okay. And so I need to delete that part where it talks about how he like had to run out the back from some, and those neighbors are too nice anyway. But maybe
Yeah.
it's that he was very close to death when maybe a neighbor brought him like his $5 and then he was able to
Yeah.
get it or something.
Yeah.
Delete the part about having to escape and instead replace with growing steadily sicker gives him enough. Yeah, the cruelty is in that like there is no exceptions. You will
Yeah.
die if you do not pay.
Yeah.
And why do they want all this? Like, why
Yeah, there needs
is
to
it
be
cartoonish that the Rivs like demand this money and they don't like they? Is it just that they're just fucking evil guys? Like, what's the stakes in it for them, right? Even like
maybe the
a
ribs.
billionaire would be like, well, if I do that, then I'm gonna go out of business and then you won't have a job. Like, there's
What
always a
if
reason.
but what if the ribs are the ones who actually have like healing magic and it puts them apart in society as an upper class because of this?
That's why, but why do they demand the payment? And why don't they why isn't there some Riv that's like, I'll let you can take out a loan from me, bud. Just give me a little extra next time. Like why are they so because the tension comes from the fact that they're so cutthroat.
Yeah.
Now, I not you don't have to necessarily know this. I'm just like
Oh
this is what I'm
yeah.
thinking is like that is the problem is that there has to be
But
some
it
reason why it must be
well
you
it could
have
be
to
because
pay.
just every aspect of the cost of life is insane, right?
Yeah, maybe they
Or
are just
maybe
also like
yeah, or
if you don't
maybe it
pay, I can't feed my family
mhm.
directly.
Mhm.
And the only power they have is that they can heal.
Mhm. Also, it could just come down to people wanting power, right? The world has
Yeah.
gone to shit. Maybe it's something like we're like the world is currently being reborn, right? The world up top died and we get to rebuild this world and one of us will lead this our people. And they're all vying for that spot even though that spot doesn't exist. And because they've been vying for this spot, they've just continued with this like neighborhood warring
Okay. Yeah.
that they've almost put themselves like they want to end up in a position where they build a centralized government but they're not there, and so maybe that's what the power is like if we can get more like if I'm a riv of 2 city blocks I could get enough to where I can take over the next guy's block and the next guy's block and the next guy's block, and then I could be the fucking chancellor or whatever, and have and be able to just rule everything, even though we're underground.
Okay.
And the thing that everybody needs is healing. So the more money that I get means that I can fund more people to go out and pillage other neighborhoods and kill off their leaders and their rivs.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna definitely play with that and see. But I like a lot of that stuff because, yeah, the logistics of it. I like that central problem of like we are all slowly dying and we have to pay if we want to live.
Yeah.
Because I think
Now,
that's a
I'm
natural.
wondering if there should also be a bigger implication for when somebody dies, because at the end of the day, you could just say, well, why aren't people just saying, fuck it, I'll die? Right? Like, what if when you die, you like take other people out with you? Or like when you die, it can poison the ground beneath or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because like, why would people
Maybe
not
there
want
was
people?
like a mass suicide, and these are just the people who are left.
Could
Maybe
be.
these are like, yeah, five right after it happened,
I
a
mean, don't
wave of
ever
people did
yeah,
kill
I mean,
themselves.
don't underestimate
The way
the
suicidality can come back.
well, or
Yeah.
don't underestimate the lengths someone will go to not die, right? Like that's why
Yeah. That's my
zombie apoc
instinct. I kind of
yeah,
forget that
like that's
suicide's an
yeah, like
option.
yeah, but like that's why zombie apocalypse movies exist. Like my millennial ass, nope. I'm fucking noping out of that situation. I'm not living
Oh,
it through.
I'm becoming the sword wielding bitch who kills all the zombies.
I would
I'm
love
not dying
I
in a
mean,
zombie
I probably
apocalypse.
will because I have children and that's my job, but like let's be real. There would be a moment when I'd be like, we really want it, like this is what we're doing. We want this is where we're at. We've been here for 5 years and there's still zombies. Like, well, let's just call it a day. Like, there's no way the afterworld can be this bad. Let's be done here.
Oh my god, no. That's so funny. That's probably more along the lines of Kale maybe, but I'm too much of an optimist it seems. I would be like,
I'm not
"Eh,
living for
oh,
10 years in The Walking Dead. You're absolutely out of your fucking
well, I
mind.
wouldn't stay like that the whole time. It would just be the threat of the walkers becomes
You
normal.
underestimate how long it takes for humans to change.
No, but I overestimate the ability of humans to procure enjoyment from a miserable life.
That's fair.
And
Yeah.
that's what would keep you from being
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
at least I have this.
Yeah.
Hence,
That's
we're
true.
happy with our stupid little subscriptions and our stupid little fucking, we live in an evil empire and we're still just like, did I enjoy my coffee?
Yeah, it's the entire basis for capitalism, right? The
Yeah,
world may be going to shit, but I can still go to Target and buy a cute dress.
yeah. Except you can't go to
Yeah.
Target anymore, but yes.
Yeah, no, you should not be going to I don't go to Target anymore.
Should we do fucking
A,
what's happening?
reading and writing ticket?
Yeah, real quick. Last week we didn't do a sign in or a sign off. And I just borrowed one from another episode, which is fine. But it was funny. I was like, man, we were just like buzzing. It's funny.
So, other than what we wrote for each other this week, did you write anything else this week?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me
And I
neither.
didn't read either
You
because
didn't read.
I no, I was
Oh, because you got work.
I should have read, but I kept playing like stupid ass those phone games I was telling you about, and also what is it called? And also listening. I've just been like watching videos and like in zoning out instead of
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, so we didn't write, we didn't read. You read
I read. I
Never
read.
Keep,
I
and you
started.
probably read a bunch of shit since we last talked, actually.
So I finished. Oh, the last time we talked about, I had finished the most recent Beast of the Briars book, and I
Oh, that was
started.
forever ago.
Yeah, and I started Neverkeep. I am only on chapter 7 of Neverkeep. It took me a second.
Yeah, it's a little.
It took me a second, and I also can't figure out if everybody's a bad guy or everybody's a good guy, or if everybody's just kind of morally fucked up because of the world that they live in. And
I
I
think
don't know
that
who like, I get that
that's interesting. I
Everest.
never care about rooting for people. I'm
No, I
just
know,
like,
but
let's see
like,
what you're gonna do.
yeah, like Everest, I feel like I should be rooting for because she's got that underdog, whatever. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, cool. This main character energy, like, she's the one that's supposed to be whatever. And I have a theory about what she is or her order form.
Oh, what do you think her order form is?
Um, well, okay, so at first I had read because I was like skimming real quick, and I wasn't reading. I had read that she wasn't touched by fire, and I was like, is she a drake or a phoenix? But then I realized she was encased in ice, so that is not that. Um,
I could not deal with the never rest Everest. Never rest
oh,
Everest.
you know what I can't deal with is that in 3 consecutive chapters, they said that the little floating fucking island bullshit blocked out the moon. It blocking out the moon. It blocked out the moon. Blocking out the moon. We did, and I'm like, we get it. It's blocking out the moon.
That's so funny. I never.
I was like,
Okay.
oh my god, I get cool. It's in the sky, guys. I get it. It's blocking out the sky, the stars and the moon. But I was just like, come up with a new like casting a shadow on the land or hovering over ominously or I don't know, maybe there's fucking is the wind picking up because of all the air fucking elementals doing, like, there's a million things you could do with it other than just, and it floated by blocking out the moon and we stood there on the top of our island blocking out the moon. You're like, oh my god,
I didn't notice that at
you're
all.
not
That's
blocking
so
out the moon,
funny.
you're standing on the top of the goddamn island, you see the moon just fine. How do you know you're blocking out the moon, bitch? You're not on the ground.
That's actually so funny. Okay, so what has just happened?
So I've met the witch. I met Vesper,
Yeah.
and she is a succubus, which I
Okay. You
figured
guessed.
that I guessed, but also because you told me that that was in the book, and then she said something that I was like, oh, that's got to be what she is.
Mhm.
And I do not actually know. Sorry, I lied. I don't know what Everest is. I had
Oh,
some
you had a
ideas.
guess.
I had guessed, but then I saw that she was encased in ice, so I'm like, maybe she's not. Whatever.
Do you have
Um,
another guess, or that was your only guess?
no, it says that she is like agile, or she like moves with some grace, and
Hmm.
so I'm wondering if there's I'm like, if she becomes a vampire, that's fucking wild. Um, she's quick with it.
You haven't heard about vampires yet, I don't think.
I have not. And there's 2 new order forms that I've never heard of. I did not know of the drakes,
Yeah?
which are basically like little baby dragons, kind of. That's what a drake is.
Okay.
Um, and the marrows, which are kind of like mermaid, siren-y something, but
They
manifest
seem
very
like
different.
realistic looking mermaids, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that kind
They
of
have
stuff.
spikes
Yeah.
on their back, and yeah, and they
Yeah.
like sprout a fin, which sirens do not do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that was interesting that there's still some like differences that are happening over there.
What is happening in the chapter right now? Like, what is.
Mom just died. Mommy's dead.
Oh!
Yeah, mom just died.
God.
So the air people attacked to get the basilisk, who was being milked from all orifices by the water people. And
Mhm.
during that attack, Fire Nation came and said there is in fact a war in Ba Sing Se. Um,
That's
and
where I could not with her describing the guy as he's, like, gonna fuck them all over, and she's like, "And his
he's so hot.
hair, like, looks this," and I
He's
was like,
so
"Uh,
yeah.
you thought he was hot?"
No, but that's kind of how she is.
I
She's
was
like, he's gonna kill my mommy, but God, those cheekbones.
like, "What the fuck are you on? Shut up." I could not with that.
Vesper has a thing for the prince, dude, and
That is interesting and weird. He is
he's
creepy, huh?
he seems like,
He has weird vibes.
yeah, there's something I need to know about that guy. And I'm like, and here's my thing, because I've read enough of these, I'm like, is this going to be a Lionel situation where he's a bad guy for sure, no doubt about it? Or is it going to be like a Darius where he's a product of his surroundings and he will end up becoming good?
Or is it gonna be like an Arab and Hamill situation?
That would be that would be a Lionel.
Oh, but I will say Lionel seems like 100% definitely evil, whereas Arabin, he is evil, but like he for a lot of the book,
Mm-hmm.
that is not
He's mentor.
even
He's
we're you
mentor.
yeah, you don't really
Yep.
understand like how fucked up,
It's yeah,
and
he's
so
got
it's a lot like he
which
kind of
is
gives me
actually
that
kind of leads
vibes.
it kind of leads into like the efficacy of his grooming, that the
Yes,
relationship he created with Selena has a loyalty and a love built into it that is fundamentally wrong,
so
and
evil. Yeah,
that
it's still
she
evil. It's just like catches the
and
reader
like
off guard.
blurs those lines of like father, mentor, lover,
Yes.
something, and you're like, ew,
Yeah.
because that is in fact what groomers do. Yeah,
Yeah.
this prince guy is
Weird.
interesting and weird, and I want to know why he puts so much emphasis on Vesper, why he's like, don't fail me, and like only looks at her and is like very much kind of whatever, and she is enamored with him for
Yeah.
whatever reason. um I am suspicious of all things involved with Harlan, I think is his name.
Okay.
Because I'm like, okay, this character is either going to be her little like ride or die bestie, who she's in love with, clearly.
Uh-huh.
Um, and either there's going to be a betrayal of that, or that's going to be this weird, like, I don't know. I like was thinking like Hunger Games vibes where like it's her the boy she loves from back home, but then she's gonna find a pita bread and and go off on some fanciful adventure at Neverkeep and fall for this other guy and then feel bad about this boy she left back home.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm only 50% of the way through the book. I am 300 pages in, Kindle pages, but
Mhm.
50%.
I will say his Harlan is his name, right?
Uh-huh.
His order form is interesting, but that's because of something else that I've read. The bear shifter is interesting because I have
Oh,
met um
interesting. Okay.
an earth sign shifter or two or more or none at all, that I'm not trying to give you any spoilers. But yeah, his order form, what I know about his order form and the way that I've seen it in the other stuff that the Twisted Sisters have written is I'm intrigued.
Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and next week we're gonna do patriarchy?
Patriarchy.
Or
Yeah.
if you have a different idea, we can just do
No, I
whatever that
like that.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about the patriarchy,
Yeah.
particularly with whether or not, or how, right? Romantasy either feeds into or fights against notions of patriarchal values, and
And
what does that say about us?
yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. That sounds good.
So keep reading.
Keep writing.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.